Welcome back to Outnumbered. Well, a big moment for Jeb Bush today, as he'll have the task of convincing activists at the Conservative Political Action Conference. He's one of them. The annual gathering of thousands of conservative activists will not only hear from the former Florida governor today, but from other potential Republican presidential candidates, including Senators Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, and Texas Governor Rick Perry. This follows yesterday's big showing by GOP rising star Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, who spoke to a standing room only crowd, and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who has been struggling lately in the polls. A defiant sounding Christie sat down for an interview with conservative radio host Laura Ingraham, taking swings at some of the other candidates and at the media, in particular the New York Times, which recently published several unflattering articles about the governor.
When you do things like I've done in New Jersey to take on a lot of these special interests frontally that, they support, they just want to kill you. And that's what they try to do to me every day. And here's the bad news for them. Here I am. And I'm still standing. I'm going to continue to do it because what matters more is the fact that I wake up every morning knowing how to fight for the people in my state. And that's what I do. And I don't care what they write about me in the New York Times. They can keep it. I don't subscribe, by the way.
Oh, you don't subscribe? Also, when asked about where all of his momentum may have gone, the governor had this answer.
You're low in a bunch of polls. How do you overcome that deficit? It's a pretty big deficit.
Is the election next week? I don't know.
All right, this is interesting to me. I gotta love Chris Christie. He just doesn't care. Andrea, he's not a favorite of a lot of conservatives. They have questions about his stand on gun control with respect to Obamacare. They don't feel necessarily that he's a conservative warrior, and some feel that his in-your-face approach may not work outside of New York and New Jersey. But I do agree with him. When it comes to polling, it's really, really early. I think he has a lot of time to pick up momentum. If he sort of takes a stand on issues and convinces conservatives, there's a lot of time left now.
There's a lot of time left, and that works in his favor. What doesn't typically work in candidates' favor if he decides to run is blaming the media, though.
Right.
I understand why he's doing it, because he knows that conservatives are deeply distrustful of the third rail, or the fourth estate, I should say. And so that's why he's doing it. I think he's trying to say, look, they've been unfair to me. However, conservatives still have that hug. President Obama. And conservatives also remember him going on Fallon and doing a lot of butt kissing to the media that he claims he doesn't care about. He sucked up to them a lot. He sucked up to Hollywood a lot. And I think all of those things have conservatives going, listen, you did this to yourself.
Yeah. What about that issue, Charles, of blaming the media? I think that's a great point. I always tell candidates, you know what, instead of pointing your finger at the media, instead of saying, oh, it's the media's fault, have an answer to questions. You'd be better than their questions. Show up and have something to say, no matter what the question is, and then you'll leave them with their mouths agape, no matter who's asking.
I'm with you 1,000%. I'm also tired of vote for me because the other guy sucks. Right. I want to know what you bring to the table. No, really. I mean, this is what we've done for the last several elections. It's been like the lesser of evils. And the pitch isn't what I can do for you, will do for you. It's what the other person can't or won't do for you. I live in Jersey, and I would tell you, when you go with that hug, here's the problem with the hug. It was petty, or felt petty. It felt like somehow he wasn't involved with the Mitt Romney situation. Maybe he wasn't picked for VP. And at the last minute, he sabotaged a chance for the Republicans to take the White House. A lot of Republicans will never forgive him for that.
Not only that, I mean, you talk about not saying what you could do as opposed to what's wrong with the other guy. Dan Henninger wrote a great piece in the Wall Street Journal today talking about how the next guy really needs to be Captain America, that the next president is really going to be left with quite a job, saying here's the job description. The president has to be able to confront a world in chaos, rebuild shattered alliances, revive the country's demoralized intelligence services, manage foreign and domestic demands with a budget that's been drained, and restore public faith in an array of deeply politicized federal bureaucracies. It's a tough job, and you've got to look like a superhero to get out there and do it. And I'm not. That's not Chris Christie right now.
You know, Harris, you have CPAC going on right now. Conservatives are really excited. It seems like Scott Walker is emerging as a strong guy on the conservative wing. They want a reformer. Do you think the likes of Jeb Bush, for example, these more establishment candidates, do you think that they'll be able to convince conservatives at this conference that they should be given a shot, even if they're backing the likes of Common Core and whatnot?
You know, it's really early. So I think that at this point, if you've got a good platform and a good delivery system for your messaging, you should be okay. I mean, to make your point. It's very early. I want to get back to Christie for just a second, if you'll allow me to. A couple things hit me. Remember the Republican convention where he spoke? And to build the coalition that you're talking about, to be Captain America, you have to be able to build a team. And I don't know, there's just some questions about Chris Christie's ability to be a team player.
Yeah.
Remember, he spoke about himself for much of that speech. Like 80% of the speech was about himself. But, you know, then there's this polling. And I was trying to find out the exact sourcing, because I know we had it here on the program a couple of weeks ago. Some 59% of people in New Jersey don't think that Chris Christie would make a good president. And they love him as governor. And he has done what he has said he was going to do, lowering taxes, so on and so forth. We live in Jersey.
That's Melissa's point, right? The skill set.
So, and I'm still looking for the source. And forgive me for not having that on the tip of my tongue, but I know we've had it on Outnumbered before. But I think that shows a lot. You know?
And you know what? It is very difficult. Harris, you're absolutely right. To be elected in a blue state, Chris Christie had to be a different kind of Republican. And I do think we need to be sympathetic, at least Republicans do, or else they're never going to be able to win in blue states. But, you know, I do think it goes back to a lot of the things that he did. That hug, people are very, very nervous about Chris Christie running, and we'll see if they can forgive him. Especially Mitt Romney, because he said Mitt Romney couldn't come to New Jersey to raise money, supposedly. All right.